10 Magic cards rated, day number 65. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Hope your hump day is going pretty good. First card is a mountain. All basic lands get a 5. Art is fine. I don't mind it. Arc Lightning, though, is our first actual card of the day, printed in Urza's Saga, and has been a part of World Championship decks, because even at sorcery speed, this was a pretty good card back in the day. 3 mana, 2 and a red for a sorcery that deals 3 damage, divided as you choose among any number of creatures and or players, man. Even the cards from Urza's Saga that weren't great were great, you know? This is a red card, a direct damage effect, that is able to take out 3 creatures. And I've seen it do it multiple times. A lot, actually. Like, sometimes it'll just take out Mana Dork, 2-drop, and that's all, and that's fine. Because, you know, you just got card advantage over your opponent, effectively, for a really low cost. In that case. But sometimes it just blows up, you know, Lionel Elves shocks you in the face. Or sometimes it does 2 damage to that guy, hits you for 1. 3 damage to that one guy is also still fine depending on what that one guy is. This is one of those cards where like a certain amount of modality turns out to be really, really good. It was. Boy, it was, man. I'm not sure that it's as good in this day and age. But I'm still going to probably just give it the honorary 5, but I don't even think I have to do that. I think I can give this card a 5.1 and be, you know, pretty happy about that. I can lay my head on the pillow and sleep soundly, giving this a 5.1. I still think it's a pretty good Magic card. But we'll move to Horrific Assault, brand new, printed in Modern Horizons 3. You can get it for 3 pennies. This is a single green mana for a sorcery. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker you don't control. If you control an Eldrazi, gain 3 life. So just a prey upon, kind of really a bite effect. With incredible art by Justine Jones here, who got to do a couple of pieces in this set, and they both look just amazing. This art is great, dude. I really like this style. Kind of like 1930s and 40s pulp magazine cover. And I don't know how many people are familiar with that art style. I really don't, but it's a really, really sort of forgotten art style that I thought was really, really cool. My dad used to collect these old pulp magazines when he was still alive. And that's how I'm so familiar with this sort of kind of, it's not exactly that art style, but it's a riff on that art style. And it's really, really cool. But altogether, I'm going to give this really Tales of the Crypt. If you've ever seen an old Tales from the Crypt magazine, then you kind of know this art style. But anyway, I'm going to give this card a 4.9. The Eldrazi thing is not going to happen very often, but I guess it works in Changeling decks, and that's kind of cool. Works in Eldrazi decks too, right? But I don't know. But just a bite effect for a single mana is pretty good. I'm going to bump this up to a 5. We'll throw a 5 this thing's way. It's pretty good. But Meddling Kids is from Unhinged. We don't rate uncards around here. Scion of Glaciers is the actual next card. 4 mana, 2 and 2 blue for a 2/5 elemental. You can pay a blue and have Scion get +1/-1 until end of turn. Drafty card, 1.4. It costs a little bit too much. It really just kind of does. So, Scourge Mark is up next. Only ever printed in Theros. 2 mana, 1 and a black for an aura that enchants a creature. When an ETBs draw a card, enchanted creature gets +1/+0. So the best thing about this is the card draw. That also triggers, you know, Constellation, Enchantress effects, and now Eerie, since we're looking at Duskmourn right now. So not actually that bad, but I'm still just going to give it like a 3. It's not that good either. Not really. I'll go 3.3. It matters to me. It makes a difference to me. Endless Ranks of the Dead, originally printed in Innistrad, and not too many times outside of that, is 4 mana, 2 and 2 black for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, X being half the number of zombies you control, rounded down. Note that it doesn't say, like, non-token zombies you control. So once you get this rolling, it's going to give you more and more zombies every single turn. This is a card that I've played against in Commander a couple of times because it's kind of iconic in that format. And by the way, Ryan Yee did a fantastic job on this artwork. While we're talking about artwork, I really like this like stained glass motif. It's pretty good. But this card is, again, like slightly iconic for a reason. And it keeps, you know, it needs these reprints, and it keeps getting to keep it around $2 because I think that's about the right call, the right price for a card like this. Buy Endless Ranks, because you don't have this card yet for some reason. Really good Magic card. I especially think it's fantastic in a format like Commander, even if you have to wait a turn. I know you're skipping a turn to play this card most of the time, but even if you have to wait a turn to get it going, I think you have that in Commander a lot of the time when everyone's kind of getting set up still. So again, we're talking about casual Commander, not like CEDH. So yeah, I still think it's definitely worth the slot in a lot of decks, especially zombies decks. Obviously, you have to play it. So 7. Fight me. We'll move on to Undercity Upheaval. 3 mana, 1 and 2 green for a sorcery. It has Undergrowth. Distribute X +1/+1 counters among any number of target creatures you control, X being the number of creature cards in your graveyard as you cast this spell. Creatures you control gain Vigilance till end of turn. This is from March of the Machine Aftermath. And even with the fact that it's from Aftermath, it's still only 7 cents. That set was not opened at all whatsoever. So you would think this card would be worth, like, I don't know, 10, 15 cents. It's not. It's bad. It's because it's bad. It's not good. Looks like it might be cute if you have like 10 guys in your yard, but all the setup that cost, and it's so bad. It's not a good card. I'll give it a 1.3. It just actually is not good. So we'll look at Ancient Greenwarden next, originally printed in Zendikar Rising. This is a pretty good card. 6 mana, 4 and 2 green for a 5/7 elemental with reach. You may play lands from your graveyard. If a land entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Land Harmonicon, everybody. It's still worth a pretty penny too. The cheapest versions of this card are about $10 to get your hands on right now. They just printed one in OTJ Commander. It's still like $9. So still great. You need it for your landfall decks. You just need it for your landfall decks. It's also got a baked-in Crucible of Worlds ability on it, which is disgusting. There's a reason this card is so sought after. Again, must play in not just landfall decks, but anything that has incidental landfall abilities or anything like that. Just phenomenal Magic card, even at this rate, even at 6 mana. Incredibly playable, dude. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and give Greenwarden a 7 as well. And again, you can fight me. Please don't come to my house. We'll meet up at the Dairy Queen and we'll throw down. We'll move on to Venomous Vines here. Only ever printed in Judgment. 4 mana, 2 and 2 green for a sorcery. Destroy target enchanted permanent. Best thing about this is the Ron Spencer art. Is there a name hidden in it somewhere? I'm not going to be able to tell, just by one glance. Although I do see like what looks like an N and a Y or something down here on her boot. So you always have to, just a quick tip. If you see a Ron Spencer art, look for a name in it somewhere because he often hides his friends' names in the artwork for cards. This is not good though. This is way too narrow in most cases, and it still costs 4 mana. Like, even though it's that narrow, it still costs 4 mana at sorcery speed. This card's like actively kind of bad. Although destroy and then permanent. Destroy ... permanent. So it's not like the worst thing ever. I'll give it a 1.9. No, I won't. I'll give it a 1. I don't think it's good at all. I'll give it a 1. We'll move on. One of the only ones in the history of the series. There's a swamp. That means it's a 5 and we don't rate it. Although the art is fine. I kind of like the orange and black aesthetic mixed with the gray background. It's fine. Talrand. Oh boy. Everybody, are you ready? Magic 2013 was the original printing of Talrand, Sky Summoner. This is 4 mana, 2 and 2 blue for a 2/2 legendary merfolk wizard. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, put a 2/2 blue Drake creature token with flying onto the battlefield, baby. This is so good. It's still so good. It's phenomenal in cubes. It's very good in Commander, where it still sees play in tons of different decks. Anything that's spell slinging is gonna play some Talrand, from blue-white to blue-red to whatever. Simic. Just so good. Dimir plays a lot of this card. Literally all the colors. I just basically kind of named them all. But yeah, Talrand is, wow, it's good. It's been reprinted probably 20 times at this point, at least like 10. And it's, cheap because of all those reprints. But still a just absolutely repulsive Magic card that finds its way into a ton of decks in the 99. And still actually sees play as a Commander a good bit too. So I'm going to give this card a 7.5. I really do think we're getting some hits today. I really do, man. This is a good card, and I will not be fought on this one. I'm pretty sure you agree. We'll move on though to, is this the final card of the day? Yeah, Baral's Expertise. Originally and really only ever printed in Aether Revolt, but it did get a reprinting in Outlaws of Thunder Junction Commander. 5 mana, 3 and 2 blue for a sorcery. Return up to 3 target artifacts and or creatures to their owner's hand. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 4 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost. Still a pretty good card. You'd occasionally see a standard deck trying to leverage this while it wasn't standard, although not too many were actually very successful in the tournament scene in doing that. But every now and again you'd catch wind of this happening. But that said, I think it's an interesting commander playable, and I do think it's somewhat commander playable. I really do. Especially considering like what kind of, brokenness you can get away with. This is not the last card of the day. There appears to be one more. I missed a tick mark, but that's good news. But all that said, yeah, it's still like serviceable and can sometimes kind of allow you to cheat a little bit depending on what you're playing from your hand. So I'm going to give Baral's Expertise a 5.2. I'm going to give it that, and please forgive me. We'll move on to the actual last card. It's Copperhead, everybody. Circle of Protection Red. Give me the lady. Give me the lady one. Although I do kind of I respect the Ice Age one. But there's the lady. Unless it's a dude, I don't really know. But I've always I feel like it's a lady. This, in case you've never read it, is 1 and a white for an enchantment. You pay 1 and prevent all damage against you from a red source. If a source does damage to you more than once in a turn, you must pay 1 mana each time you want to prevent the damage. People who have seen this entire series, thank you, first of all, very much. I'm making playlists that you can go to bed to and all that. You probably know that I've said before that most Circle of Protections are going to be a 6. But Circle of Protection Red is special. Circle of Protection Red gets a 6.4. On days, well, it's day 65. So you know what? Circle of Protection Red, actually, I'll bump it up. Circle of Protection Red gets a 6.5 on day 65. I do think it's worth it. This is typically the most played red, or the most played Circle of Protection in sideboards way back in the day. And if it were still a thing, it might still be the most played Circle of Protection in sideboards. Because obviously red is the color that has the ability to do the most damage to you the fastest and directly. So Copperhead is even more iconic than the other circles. So I do have to, and I think I've mentioned before, when we hit Copperhead, I have to give it a slightly higher score. And in this case, I do think a whole half a point is warranted. Because aside from Cop Black, this is probably the cop that saw the most play throughout Magic history. And I shouldn't even say probably, it's certainly the Circle of Protection saw the most play. So yeah, for the ability to do everything from make sure you don't lose the game to a fireball, to just not take 3 to a bolt, or like whatever, it's the Circle of Protection that mattered. A lot of them didn't matter. This one mattered greatly. So yeah, I think it's a good card in the day on, and a good piece of Magic history too. But that's all we got for today. I will see you on Thursday, everybody. Bye.